Welcome to the Lapse of Time show. I'm your host, TL. In today's episode, we have something special for you. We'll be diving into a segment on skill development with MedXpressionz and its owner, Jacque. Some of you might remember Jacque from our very first episode, Guarding a Child's Innocence. She's the owner and founder of MedXpressionz, and today she's back to share her insights on growth and mentorship. We're also excited to welcome two of her mentees, Maya and Deborah, who will be joining us to share their unique journeys and how their experiences with Jacque have impacted their lives. It's going to be a great discussion, so stay tuned. So, welcome back, Miss Jacque. How are you doing on today?
Hi, thank you for having me back. I am doing just great. How are you?
I'm good. I thank you so much for coming back to the show. You know, you were definitely a favorite on the first episode, so I am so excited to have you back.
Thank you.
And I'm so excited to hear about MedXpressionz. So, if you don't mind, you want to tell us a little bit about it and the mentorship and everything that you're doing right now?
So, MedXpressionz, basically, and with skill set successes combined, it's kind of just like the foundation for career and professional development. And I found the unique way through my journey to help people in a way that's a little bit different than most. And I'm sure somebody probably else out there have done it the way I'm doing it. I haven't found them yet, but I found a different way to do something that can be beneficial for the growth of people, to better themselves, to improve, and all around just make a person feel better about themselves, their career, which way they want to go. And all of that starts with just self-improvement. So that's kind of what MedXpression does. We take a person, we figure out what they want to do with themselves, work out some things, and then send them on their way down.
Okay, I like that. I like how you're basically just setting a skill sets for life. So you're
Correct.
getting them prepared for everything that they finna go into the world and experience, but trying to better themselves and help improve themselves, correct?
Right, because self-improvement, I have found is the foundation of any growth, whether you're a mentor, a business owner, or any of those things. Because I realized when I first started and trying to lead others effectively and build a business out of it, I have to stay constant to learning and reflecting from myself. So every part of my journey comes from improving my skills, whether it's in leadership, how I communicate, how I handle business, and all this directly influence how I help and mentor others. So my ability to guide and inspire others stem from my own experience of pushing myself to develop new abilities and overcome challenges when they come.
Okay. So how do you prioritize learning and continuing education in your daily routine then?
So I prioritize learning. I make it a non-negotiable part of my daily routine. So there are specific times through the day because I do have a busy schedule. I do a lot of things. But if you go through my Audible library, 90% of it is how to be a leader, the 1 minute manager. I love books by James Clear, like The Atomic Habits, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. So I have a vast majority of my library, how to overcome and be a better person. And so that part is what I do. But I set aside those times, whether it be in the morning, in the evening, during my break time, to engage in professional development. So this is why I listen to my books, I have my webinars, and then I also am subscribed to a whole bunch of podcasts that's both about business and career development. But one thing I learned that worked well for me was breaking down learning into manageable chunks. So you have this kind of like meat, right? When you go buy a big bulk of meat, instead of freezing it all, you cut it, you break it down half and you put parts in the freezer, right? That way,
Right. So
that's
it can
how,
all fit.
right. So that way I don't become overwhelmed. And then that way I can incorporate that into my practical application. So when I'm working with people, I'm able to go pull the part from the freezer that I need to throw out, use it, and then recycle.
Okay, yeah. I like how you put that. You're breaking everything down. So if somebody's good in this area, okay, let me cut a piece from that and let me see what else you're good at. Let me cut a piece from that and let me take what I've learned and what I've already have and let me cut a piece from that and we're going to see if we can, get something cooking right now.
Exactly. And I take the feedback from my colleagues and from my clients. As you can see with Deborah and Maya, throughout the way I always ask them how they felt about this. Was this okay? Because you never want to overwhelm a person and you don't want people to build people up for failure, right? Even though failures are not always a bad thing, the world has made it to seem like a bad thing. It's just a stepping stone to success. However, when
Exactly.
people feel like they can't accomplish something, because we overwhelm them, right? So it's at your pace, what works best for you. So let's tailor this to how it works best for you. And they just happen to be two of my amazing people. So I didn't have to tailor too much to them because they caught right on to what it was. And I always say to them, kudos, because 90% of this is them, 10% of it is me. So that's how I was able to come together and work out.
Absolutely. So, what advice would you give to someone who feels overwhelmed by the idea of continuing education and self improvement? Because we have a lot of people who want to improve themselves, but like you said, I notice you make the time to do it. So, what advice could you give somebody who feel like they just don't have the time? They can't do it.
I tell them start small, right? No, don't eat out. What happens if we eat too much, take a big bite of something and we can't chew it, right? We choke, right? So you have to start small and you have to be consistent. When you're consistent and persistent, those things together, I feel make you a successful person in anything you do, right? Anytime growth doesn't happen overnight, right? So we have to choose one area to focus at and we have to set goals. I love setting goals. I tell everybody about SMART goals. Set SMART goals. And I have this great worksheet that helps set SMART goals. But we take small steps and over time they lead to big steps, which lead to improvement. And then it's no longer overwhelming because guess what? I got it, right? I got a small part. So then I'm okay with that. But you also, once you get it, you have to embrace that part of your learning and make it a part of your life. We just have to do it naturally and make it part of our daily routine. And that
Okay.
enhances it to me. And then over time, progression, you become a little bit more perfected and then you make your small wins along the way. You have to have a great support system. And if you don't mean you can't do it, right? You have to be able to be supportive of yourself. And then once you start there, others will flock to what you're doing because they see that you're trying to improve and then they'll go along with it. And now you have a support system.
Absolutely. So, you touched on a little bit as far as it becomes a part of your lifestyle. And I know that you're currently studying on the brain, right? And I know the last episode or in Guarding a Child's Innocence, you said that it takes a person to do something a certain amount of times before it becomes a habit, before you can relearn something or you start doing it daily. So I don't really have like the information on that, but I know you've been studying the brain and how things are connected. So what would you say for somebody who they feel like they failing right now, continuing those little steps? Let's say they might be on their learning journey and they feel like reading a sentence a day is not getting them nowhere. What would you say to that person who feels like, okay, this is not, it's not benefiting me none? You know, how can that person improve? What can they do differently? I know you just stated you have SMART goals. And by the way, we definitely want to make sure people are able to access that. So I definitely want people to be able to access that SMART goals sheet. So let's definitely put that out there because we definitely want to be able to have our SMART goals. But what would you say to that person who just feel like it's not working? What can they
So
do differently?
we have different ways of learning. Everybody learns differently. So first part of it is if I'm reading something, and it's funny, I just had this discussion with a colleague who should have been in the audience today. Just had this discussion with her on yesterday. Her major's in psychology.
Mm,
And she said, I told her there's different ways of learning. That's how I learn how to teach because I'm a hands-on learner. I can read it till I'm blue in the face, right?
mm-hmm.
I could see you do it, but until I do it, the dots does not connect, right?
Right.
So I feel with the starting small and being consistent, if I'm reading something and I know that it's not connecting in my brain, typically that's where people get stressed out or overwhelmed and they stop because they feel like something's wrong with them. Because how come I can't read this and get an understanding from it? Right. So we don't stop there. So I tell when I'm teaching, because I tutor. So when I'm tutoring people and the things don't connect, then I find something that they can relate to. Right. So say you relate to music, right? So now it's my goal to find a song, right? They can help you relate to what I'm trying to tell you, because then it'll start to make sense. I find that when I'm helping people, when I'm assisting people or mentoring people, I learn who they are and I teach to that style. So I believe there's in a place that I'm employed at, our thing is we meet a student where they are, right? And I tell people I have no problem going to meet a student where they are. But one thing I'm not going to do is not bring that student back up to where I'm at. Because see, I'm not going to stay down there. I've been down there. I've elevated. So I have to go down and pull them and bring them back up. And sometimes people is a little hard to put. They stuck so down in that mud. What's that quicksand? It's like you're trying to pull them in it. They pull them back. But once you get a good grip and you pull them out, then they can come to where you are. So this is why when every student or every person that I work with, once they accomplish their goal, I celebrate that with them, because I've had so many tears. And if you go onto a website, you'll see some of those videos where my students have finished because they felt like they couldn't. So many times they get halfway down the road and they say, I can't do this anymore, or life happens. So no, we don't quit. We tailor your learning. I find a way that best fits you, and I make you feel okay with your learning style being different, because we're all different. That's the exciting part about being human beings. We're all different, because if we were all the same, this would be a boring world, I promise.
You got that right.
And TikTok wouldn't be famous, right?
Right.
People would be saying the same thing and putting the same videos.
That's true. As far as you stating that people all learn differently, I feel like a lot of the educational system has forgotten that everybody learns differently, because then they think, well, a person might be a little more challenged, but it could just be that they learn differently. Like you said, you're more of a hands-on learner. Me, I'm the same way. I can read something till I'm blue in the face, but if I don't see it and if I'm not doing it, if you can't come down to my level, I'm not going to understand. Like you said, them dots are not connected. So for Maya and Deborah, what was something that you implemented for them? I know you said you get to know every one of your students personally. So what was something that you implemented for them that you were like, okay, this is what I'm going to do for you, and this is what I'm going to do for you? So what steps did you take for them that was different from everybody else?
And I feel, and Maya, when she speaks, she can chime in on this, and Deborah as well. Maya can read something and flow with it, right? Deborah's more like me. She got to see it in action. And once she see it in action, she got it, right? So they both had a different learning style. And so it was very refreshing to see that even though it wasn't with Deborah, it wasn't a continuous. Sometimes, and me, for example, some things I have to see, like certain books I read, I have to read it 4 or 5 times. So when I do an audible, I'm like, okay, he talking to me, right? Then I have to connect it to, okay, so what he's saying is this, right?
Right.
And then I draw the picture and the whole picture come together. But Deborah, she didn't have to draw the picture. You tell her, she seen it, she got it, right?
Right.
So with Maya, you didn't have to go that many steps. You tell her brain went to work, and then the dots connected, and Maya, it was done, right? And when she didn't understand something, they both came back to the drawing board to say, okay, say that again. Or
Right.
either it wasn't no embarrassing. And that's the confidence that a lot of people need. They just so happen to come with it, right? And so I think that was the part for them that made, even though their learning styles were different, it was the fact that they were open to. See, it's hard to pour water in a glass that's closed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they both had their lids off and they were receptive to what was going on and they were willing to.
Yes.
And so that's what made the journey so much better for them and for myself.
Absolutely, because you can't pour into somebody who's got too much. They full and they're not teachable and they don't want to learn. They just come with their own mindset and their own, I guess,
Humanistic thinking.
yeah, humanistic thinking. I want to welcome you both. Welcome, Deborah. Welcome, Maya, to the show. Maya, I know Miss Jacque was talking about your experience and how you learned everything as she mentored you. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, y'all. So, Maya, how has the mentorship experience shaped your view on self-improvement and continuing education?
Well, my mentor, Miss Jacque, I've learned that she's been in school pretty much her whole life. She never stopped going to school. And I also learned about her that she dedicated herself to not only pushing herself to gain and grasp all the knowledge that she can in business and communication, leadership, and professional development and use it to further her career, but also to help others do the same in their journey. The mentorship that I received has shaped my view, self improvement, and continuing my education by allowing me to experience the many opportunities there are for me not to just settle and work wherever that I could get hired, but to have skills and knowledge that long term career employers seek employees to have that stand out from others.
Right. Okay. So, I know you stated that just seeking jobs that basically are not career-wise. It's not something long-term, it's something temporary. And I know you stated that Miss Jacque gave you something different that was going to help you with getting a career and furthering educating you. Being that Miss Jacque, she continues in her own education so that way she can educate everybody like you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice would you give someone or to others about embracing lifelong learning and self-improvement as part of their career and growth?
Well, some advice that I'd give to others about embracing lifelong learning and self improvement is they kind of work hand in hand, honestly. You can't have one without the other. Bettering yourself as a person or as a student without continuously learning, it pretty much requires you to learn where you're at in your life within yourself and where you are physically in your career. But it also calls for you to seek knowledge on what to do next and how to grow to be better within yourself and your career. And it's kind of like a lifelong skill that you need to have if you're looking to push yourself as far as you can go and do everything you can to continue your education and your self improvement in whichever aspect you choose to do so.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I know you stated, just telling everybody continue their education and everything like that. Would you say this is something that you look back on and you're happy you did and you're so grateful to have done it? Because I know you stated earlier that, not having a career and just going from job to job, something that's temporary and it's not getting you nowhere. Would you say this is something that you can definitely say this was it?
Absolutely. I sat for a long time, job to job, just thinking to myself, this is not enough for me. Like I said earlier, I felt like I was settling. Like I know within myself that I'm capable of doing more and taking my life and my career further than just working at the mall or working in fast food. I used to work at a pet groomers and I knew I could be more than that. And those jobs, you can't really take them as far as you would other things. Like you can move up to maybe management in certain jobs like that, but that's as far as it would go. In the career that I'm pursuing now, I can take that and do anything. I can dip into other career paths, just piggybacking off of this one, and it's absolutely something that I never will regret. So grateful for Miss Jacque and so grateful for this opportunity that I was presented with because it not only confirmed that I can do this and I can do more than what I'm allowing myself to do, but that there's more to life than just the simple jobs or the what comes easy. Like when you put in work, bigger things come and the work that you're putting in for all these things will pay off.
For sure. But to that younger you who just probably felt like this is probably it, what would you have said to her? Because I know at one point we've all kind of hesitated to move on something because they're like, might not work out, or I don't know if I'm gonna like it.
Well, to a younger me that was not sure what she wanted to do, I would encourage that she explore more, because I always told myself that school wasn't for me and I didn't like school, and it wasn't as, I felt like it didn't come as easy for me as it did others. So I never really wanted to pursue school. But like Ms. Jacque said, she offers hands-on help and training, and that's what really helped me, because school is not only just the book work and being book smart and all that, but it's also the hands-on learning and other things that help you pick up your curriculum easier than just books, essays, and things like that. So I would just tell her to not be not so quick to judge on what she thinks it may be, but to explore deeper into it, to ask questions, to research, and look around and see what best would help her in knowing herself.
Absolutely, because I feel like a lot of people probably don't know themselves, and that could be, part of the problem. So, Deborah, welcome to the show, and I'm so happy you're here. So, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What specific learning opportunities did the mentorship open up for you, and how did they contribute to your growth?
So for me, the main thing for me was I was very intrigued with the process, actually, how to step by step build a career, not only build it, but what it actually takes to be successful in doing so. And just having a mentor along this process, has taught me how to make very informed decisions, especially when it comes down to taking those steps to elevate within your career, which I feel has resulted in me being successful thus far.
Okay, for sure. And I know Miss Jacque was stating how your learning was kind of hands-on, and you can read the book, but you also need to see it too. And so I want to know, in what ways has Miss Jacque encouraged you to pursue your own education and skill development?
Yeah. And I do agree, because I wouldn't say I'm a visual learner. I need that one-on-one, that hands-on. And then it's like, okay, I can pick it up just like that. But she's encouraged me in ways by communicating with me, how much she believes in me. She's continuously, offering practical help and always making sure that my mind is only shifted on the positive things, which was a bit challenging for me at first, because, with the positive, there's always a negative, but you can't put your focus on the negative, because that was just going to knock you off course. But also, I was also reflecting, on my peers' growth, which also made me reflect on my growth as well. And it made me come to the realization, man, anything is possible, especially since we have been blessed with all the resources that we need to continue our education and better ourselves within our skill development.
Okay. And so with that, I know you said that it's helped you in a lot of ways. And then you said something about your peers and seeing how they were developed. So Miss Jacque, how was it dealing with Maya and Deborah? But then you also, I know you don't just teach 2 students at a time. You got classes. So how is it, have you seen where some person might seem like they're falling behind, and then another person might seem like, okay, they're way more ahead? Will you take that person that's ahead and say, hey, come here, let me pair you with this person to see how this will help?
Definitely, that's how I do. I believe peer-to-peer mentoring. I use that very often in what I do, because sometimes my approach may be, I tried this, I tried that. Or even sometimes I start with the peer when you have a person. This is new to them. And a lot of people, transitioning is hard for some. I'm not going to say hard, it's a little bit challenged for many. Change is challenging for many. Anything outside of our norm, right, that's not normal to us can throw a monkey wrench in our plan. And the first time, oh, this looks too much. It's all about confidence, right? And I tell people that teacher confidence is the most important part of my job. because career development is not just about professional skills, it's about professional growth, personal growth. So we have to know what our strengths and our weaknesses are. So this is why I like to meet one-on-one first. I ask some questions, we do some assessments, right? Because then I need to know where area I need to focus on. Though whether you might be strong in some area, I'm still going to challenge you to push yourself. Whether you're weak at, then that's my job to come in to develop them. So it all teaches you how to cultivate a growth mindset. So that's what I love about growth mindset, because we have to know and be open to learning from both successes and failures, challenges, small wins, all of that, because now then in returns build resilience. So then we learn how to overcome those setbacks and challenges in our careers, and we won't be so quick to say, let me quit. Well, I'm not, let me go off on this person. Or that, because I used to be one of those people. So that's how I know. So it took some time to say, I don't want to be like this. It took me to look at some people and say, I want to be like that. How can I get like that? And so I provide the opportunity, because if I can get them young, and as I've been speaking in the high schools over the last 3 weeks, if I can get them young, like I got my Aunt Deborah, to teach them what somebody could have taught me to save me $100,000 in student loan debt, to say all this is done through connection. It's the connection, right? There's a lot of people out there who want to give back. I just have to be able to connect A to B so we can get all the way to Z. So that's how my program works. We do everything through connections. So I said that to say that these two, and I have, and not to take away from anybody who's going to watch this later, because there's many people that I have cultivated and planted a seed in, right? But these two were really like the most mind-blowing for me, because I felt accomplished with them to say, oh, something working, you know? And so, and they did that. So just so proud of them for how they did it and how they want it. It just goes back to the mindset. If you want something, you'll be open to receive, right? And one thing Deborah said was the blessing. It truly was a blessing, I think, all the way around, to be able to have peer-to-peer, to be able to have people in place, to be able to have things in place. Did we have some challenges along the way? Yes, we did, right? But we overcame them because we were able to communicate, and we were able to tackle it, and we were able to stay on the same page, and we were able to keep moving. So that's the whole thing about challenges. Peer-to-peer is one of the ways that I do, because people will feel more comfortable. So, for instance, right, go to church. If that one side of the church was a bunch of alcoholics and the other side was non-alcoholics, right? I'm going to feel more comfortable going sitting with the non-alcoholics because I'm not an alcoholic, right?
Right.
Versus if I was alcoholic, I'm going to go sit over here with the alcoholics because they're my people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Because they can relate.
Exactly. So that's where peer-to-peer comes in, because that one that has moved up can understand the one who's just started. So they know how to set the ground for me. So when I come in, it's not as scary, right?
Right.
So that's why peer-to-peer, I think, works for my program.
Absolutely. So, Deborah, I want you to give me an example where going through this process and continuing your education helped you tackle a challenge or reach a new milestone. Because I know you went through all this with Miss Jacque, and like you said, it was a blessing.
Okay. A milestone that I know I had trouble reaching was, for me, it was communication, whether that be with, friends, family, people at work, school. So just learning how to communicate effectively with people, from all different walks of life. I've come to the realization, it's a very vital skill. If you want to become successful in the real world, that's what you're going to have to do. It's a part of adulting. It's a part of life. So just learning how to communicate effectively, I feel like just learning how to do that, it was very vital to me and my well-being. Because, I'm a young adult. So it's just, that taking that step to learn how to actually, become an adult and what it takes to be an adult. Because it's a little hard. It's a little hard.
Oh, for sure. Don't worry. I know it's definitely hard being an adult. Adulting is not fun at all. Everybody, we all ready to go back home. I know Jackie she just touched on the communication part. So, Maya, do you agree? Like, communication has definitely helped in a lot of ways in furthering your education.
Absolutely. I've also been one to not be so great at communication. I've been told by my parents, by teachers, my whole life that communication is not my strong suit. But working with Miss Jackie, I've learned that I've learned to communicate better, and also why communication is so important. I'm usually I'm going to do it now, and we'll talk about it later kind of thing, and that might even be okay. But in the areas that I'm trying to better and in the career that I'm trying to pursue, that's not going to work. That's not going to fly. So me asking questions and informing people that need to be informed about certain things, it takes communication, and that's absolutely a very important part in self-improvement and career development and things of such.
Absolutely. So, Miss Jackie, I know you said that, as far as communication goes, and they have both touched on communication a lot as well. And for them to touch on communication, because I know a lot of us, that's something a lot of jobs now are looking for. If you have those soft skills, if you know how to communicate, if you know how to, show empathy and the things of that nature, they can care less about an IQ at this point because people just don't know how to effectively act in a workplace or effectively, present themselves and communicate. Communication is one of the biggest things. And even in relationships and different aspects of life, if you don't know how to communicate effectively and also listen effectively, then it can cause a hindrance. So what is something in your program that you work on as far as people communicating? Because everybody communicates differently. And we might think we're communicating effectively, but it's probably completely wrong.
So that is a great question. So basically, effective communication, right? Because you have regular communication, that's us talking, but effective communication is just basically Webster tells us that it's just the process of exchanging ideas, opinions, knowledge, and
Right.
to make sure that it's understood. But this is the part that I focus on with clarity and purpose, right? So when we communicate effectively, that means that the person talking and the person who hearing feels okay with what was just said. You know what I mean? So that's the part that we touch on to make sure. This is why I believe in feedback. I make sure that we know how we talk. I can say, oh, yeah, right. And 80% of our communication is nonverbal, but my nonverbal communication is telling you, I ain't hearing nothing you saying. I just know when to cue in and say, yeah, okay. And a lot of people do communicate like that. So communication comes with the visual, the listening, the writing, the written part, the verbal and the nonverbal. And once you put all that together, then that has made the communication effective. So I always go with the 5 C's, and I actually just did a blog on the 5 C's of communication. It has to be clear, correct, complete, concise, and compassionate. And in the field that my endeavor is going into, that's one of the things that it had to be. So, for instance, to give you an example of what that looked like, if I'm answering the phone at a doctor's office, we'll use that, and I say, "Good morning, thank you for calling Jackie's clinic. How can I help you?" That was clear. I just made it clear to you where you was calling, right? And it has to be correct. That was correct. It was complete. Right. Now we get into the conversation of, now the sender has to be able to understand to say, oh, well, I'm mad about this today and I'm going off about this today. And my and Deborah both can attest to this. You have to just sit there and listen, because I need the person talking to feel like I'm understanding. Even though in my head, I might not be, I don't agree with nothing you're saying, right? But
Right.
it's okay, right? So I'm going to hear what you got to say. And then my response is going to be, Maya, Deborah, I'm going to let you answer that. Your response is going to be what? After I just went off on you, about something that you ain't had nothing to do with to make that compassionate, what are your response going to be?
No, most times I just like instantly go to apologizing for whatever inconvenience, and then I just tell you, you have a great day. Because even though you went off on me and I don't have anything to do with it, I still have to have that kind heart and have compassion. Because people, the stuff that they get mad at us for, a lot of times have nothing to do with this. So you just have to understand where they're coming from. Because most times it's just frustration, and they just end up taking it out on the wrong people.
And that's the perfect answer, because the definition of compassion is to have sympathy and pity and concern for people who are suffering or have a misfortune. Misfortune. So therefore, guess what? She just did that. You see what I'm saying? I am the model for what I preach, because it just wouldn't make no sense for me to be out here trying to tell you, don't go shoot up the neighborhood if I'm gonna go shoot up the neighborhood, right? That don't make no sense. Exactly. So for what I'm charging for my program, nobody wants to pay that for a hypocrite, because then they might want to come back and shoot up my neighborhood, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, give me my money back. But that's typically how we do it. So it blesses me to know the communication part. And this is the beauty of it. They're just going to build onto that. You don't go backwards from that. You build onto that and you keep building. And I can't remember who said it, Maya, Deborah, but the skills, it's a skill set. And you keep building onto it. They don't stop. They just enhance it. They grow it. It's like the tree. You keep watering it and it grows, and now their roots have been planted, right? So now it's just going to grow and it's going to blossom. And, I can't wait to see in a year what it looks like for them, because though they started where they at, I know without a shadow of a doubt, they're going to go way further than where they're starting at right now. So it just blesses me that God allowed me to be able to be a part of the stepping stone. So I can see when they get there, I can say, I know them, I remember, back in 2024, So yeah, that definitely is a blessing.
That is a blessing. I'm glad you talked about the communication, because like you said, that's something that they can grow in, because there's a lot of businesses and a lot of people who sit high in a lot of businesses. And sometimes you can attract people just by the way you speak, and you can draw people just by the way you communicate. And you might show them a difference than somebody else. Somebody might have a bad attitude. And like she said, like the example you gave, empathy. And a lot of people lack that now. A lot of people do not care. And they say a lot of the younger generation does not care. So for you to be teaching that and implementing that in your program is very important for a lot of the kids and even adults, because I feel like we've lost that a little bit too. So it's definitely a blessing to hear that that's something that they have taken away from this program, is just learning how to communicate with people, learning how to lower, even though you might be higher up, even though you might be, you think you're better than somebody else. But if you can get to somebody else's level and just listen to them and not respond and, not come at them in a certain way, but you hear them. And that's probably all they want. And like she said, they probably not calling you because it has nothing to do with you, but they just having a bad day. And we've all had bad days. So what is something that you can tell the people that you are offering in your program other than communication? Because I feel like that alone should draw people to come up in there and be like, yeah, give me that, please. But even for business owners and people who are looking to further their education, what are some things that you are offering people at this moment?
So we do time management and organization. We do study skills and exam prep. But my biggest thing is the career planning and the professional development, because that takes you so much further. A lot of people don't know where they want to start at, what they want to do, how they want to do it. And it's all about networking and connections. That's what I build. That's what I have built this program off of. The connections that I have made, the networking that I have done. When you do career development, it takes time out of your day. So I have to meet with my clients one-on-one. We have to check in. I have to make sure they stay on path. I have to, it's a lot. It is not just making a phone call and saying, hey, I want to be this. And then I say, okay, snap my fingers and it's done. That's not how I go. So it takes a lot of work. I've researched a lot of programs put 6, 9, 12 months, right? And to me, it's at your pace. Because if you're giving me 3, 4 hours a day, I don't need 6 months of your time. We're just milking the cow at that point, right? So that's why I have just a basic flatline price. And then we just go from there. Now, if it take you a year, I'm going to ride with you for a year, right?
Right.
But if it take you 3 months, I'm rolling with you for 3. But if you can get it done in 6 weeks, hey, kudos to you.
By all
right?
means.
By all means. But we talk about the stress management and the self-care and, of course, communication and the collaboration. We also we do critical thinking and problem solving as well. And so we touch a little bit on the financial literacy for people and students because, like I said, I've been blessed
That's
to
a
be
good
able.
one.
Yes, I've been blessed to be able to talk to some of the high school students. And I just have to say, Green Valley High School impressed me because everybody in there knew what they wanted to do. We had lawyers, attorneys, football. So everybody knew what they wanted to do. But nobody had sat and talked to these students about what if plan B, what if plan A don't work? What's plan B? Right?
Exactly.
So, and if plan B don't work, what's plan C? Because these schools come out and they tell you, hey, we're going to offer you this, we're going to offer you that. You know, you sign the dotted line, this, that, and the other. But nobody tells you about when you got to pay those student loans back, right? And then your student loans is more than what you're making in a year.
Exactly.
Or what happens if you get in the field and you in school 2 years down the road, you say, I don't want to do this no more. You still have to pay that money back, right? So the way we do it is through connections. Let me pair you with somebody who's in the field that you may want to go into. Let me get the visual picture of what you'll be doing. And before you go spend all this money, say, you know what, I don't want to do that.
Right.
So I find that breaking it down the way I have, a lot of my high school students, they're like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. You know, so they reach out and I make myself available to them through the website. You know, they have my number. There are different ways to emails, however they want to get in contact with me, text. I'm working on a TikTok, you know, so they can be able to get in touch with me. But just so they can have that access and the resource. And some of the parents I got to speak to, you know, they are very grateful because they're like, oh, I didn't even know that. Because a lot of our students, their parents didn't even finish high school. Right.
Right.
So I wish I'd have known them back then, but I'm not old enough to be able to push it through to something else. So we have all types of things, and I'm always challenging myself to offer different things for different people. So I just tell everybody, reach out. There's so many different ways to get in touch with me. Just reach out if you have questions. Deborah Myers on the website is a testimonial. A video is up there. Very proud of them. I will never stop saying that. Very proud of them. And they have access even now that they, you know, are just finishing. They still have access to me because if they want to do something different or if they want to figure something out, I'm definitely available for the teaching.
Absolutely. And I know you were talking about, you know, you like to go by connections. So for Maya and Deborah, because I know you connect people with different people to see where they want to go. And for the field that they went into, is there a connection for somebody who they continue the education in that direction? Is there a possibility that they can get a job placement?
We definitely connect. We go all the way to the end. So, for instance, if where you placed this, it doesn't work out, you know, for whatever reason, then we go right back to the drawing board. So I'm never just going to leave you out to dry by yourself. I'm going to be on that line with you. So we just continue moving and everybody plays their part still, right? I do my part, Maya and Deborah do their part, and anybody else that comes along, they do their part. It's a team effort. I'm never telling anybody I'm doing everything by myself because I'm not. In leadership, we learn how to delegate, right? So if I do everything for you, where's your accountability? Right?
Right.
Because when the doors are done and we are finished with each other, I need you to still be able to stand on your own 2 feet. So again, I'm always there, but it might be 3 o'clock in the morning and you
Right.
can't get in touch with me because I ain't got no service. I need to know the teachers that you have and those skills that you have acquired that you can stand on those things. So yeah, everybody does their part. It's never just one person doing everything because that's just not fair. There's no justice for that person. I'm just wasting their time at that point.
Absolutely. And speaking of wasting time, what are some things that are some no-goes for you when it comes to joining your program? Because I know you're touching on a little bit of accountability, and you're basically saying like, I'll hold you accountable, but you got to do something too. You got to show up. You got to be on time. You got to get to these meetings. You got to talk to me, communicate. So what are some no-goes that you're like, okay, I'm not going to take you on because I don't think this is going to work?
So this is the thing, the beautiful part of it, and might be the hardest selling point, is that with the deposit, I'm not turning down anybody because I like challenges. But you're going to give a deposit. And if you don't do what you're supposed to do, then you don't get that money back. And I'm okay because see, time is a valuable resource that we can't get back.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to waste my time, then I'm definitely going to have some compensation for it. I'm not a counselor. Let me say that. I'm a career coach. I'm a certified life coach. So I don't touch that counseling part. So if you have a substance abuse or if you have some type of something, mental health, those type of things, then definitely I will refer you to where you go. I have connections in that area as well. So I will refer you to where you need to go, but I still will help you on your career path. But that will be a part of you will have to go and get that help. So at this point in my journey, I'm not turning down anybody because I feel like anybody can be helped. That's the whole point of my program, is because a lot of people will turn some people away and say, I'm not. But then if people had turned me away a long time ago, I wouldn't be where I'm seated at today, right?
Absolutely.
So it behooves me not to return that and pay that favor back to somebody, because that one person that you turn away could have been the biggest blessing that you yet to miss out. But
That's
no,
true.
I don't tolerate disrespect. And to me, disrespect is at our level because disrespect to everybody is a little different. So I have learned, and I can truly say in my spiritual journey, that I've learned how to view people differently than I do with my humanistic side of my brain, right? I pull back and say, hold on, it's not the person, right? It's the issue. So I have to address the issue before I can address the person. So that's what I'm finding. So that's that one of those things when I said about this is a non-negotiable, continuous walk for me, because my goal is to be the best at what it is. So in my professional journey, my goal is to be the best leader, mentor there is. In my spiritual journey is to be the best Christian I can be, right? And in my emotional journey is to be the not so natural emotional person, but to allow me to be spiritual. Because then the Bible tells us, that the spirit bears all things, right? And the flesh is weak.
All
So,
things.
right. So this is why I have to make sure my spirit man. So not just that I'm reading self-help books about my coaching, I'm reading spiritual self-help books to help my spiritual side grow as well. Because when those two collab, I feel unstoppable.
Absolutely. Well, Maya, what is something that you can say to the people who are hearing this now and they are thinking about joining Jackie's mentorship program and they might be a little hesitant?
So first I would say to watch Miss Jackie's videos. She said earlier, me and Deborah's testimonials were up there. I say watch those videos, read any information she has posted up there. Even if, because I'm gonna be honest, I was hesitant myself at first. I wasn't sure if this is actually, like, do I really want to put forth my time and my energy into doing this? Is it really something that I feel like I can do or I can handle? And it took me, honestly, it took me a few weeks to even decide, actually put my foot down and tell myself, like, okay, I'm either going to do this or I'm not, and I just jumped both feet in. it was either swim or drown, you know. So I would honestly just say to read, maybe even reach out to Miss Jacque. Tell her, tell her exactly how you're feeling, because I let her know, and she got the vibe from me that I was a little, you know, I'm in it a little bit, but I'm not so sure. And she gave me the information I needed to make my decision. She gave me time. She gave me the tools that she informed me of the tools that I would need to pursue this journey. And I like I said earlier, I regret nothing. I think this is something that really, this is something for everybody. This is not like, oh, only these type of people or only people in these kind of situations could do this or anything like that. This is something that everyone, even if you don't want her to, even if you're not looking for like career development, or if you're not looking for her to help you with your career, she offers so many other tools just for either self-improvement to better yourself or to better you in the career that you've already chosen. So that's the advice I'd give to anyone else thinking about joining Miss Jackie's program.
I would also want to piggyback off that as well. For anyone who is thinking about joining Miss Jackie's mentorship, I tell you to dive into it head first, because it is a great opportunity. But if you do, just be sure that's what you want to do, because it's, people don't like having their time wasted. So if it's something you really want to do, be sure that that's what you really want to do.
And Ms. Jacque also said that, she said earlier, she's never going to leave you out to hang or to dry by yourself. And it's so absolutely true. Ms. Jacque has been there from step one, and she's still, she checks up on me very, very so often, making sure that my head's still on straight, that I'm still loving it, that this is still something that I want to do, that there's nothing hindering me or bothering me or stopping me from getting to where I want to go. Even what she said earlier about if something goes wrong with your placement, like that's not where you want to be, or something goes left and she needs to place you somewhere else, that I can say for myself, I've experienced that. I got placed in an office, and that office ended up not really working out so much. Because of their end. And Miss Jacque was already on it. Like, as soon as I gave her the call, like, hey, Miss Jacque, this and this happened, she was fingers already typing, already calling up numbers, sending out emails, was already guiding me and giving me instructions on what to do next. And a lot of people, they're scared. And I understand, like Ms. Jacque said about having a support system. Even if you don't have a support system, I would honestly say Ms. Jacque is enough of a support system to push you to where you need to go. She's never just gonna, do what you're paying for her to do and just let you go. Like, her heart is in it, and I feel like everyone she interested.
For sure. I like that you said her heart is in it, because a lot of people's heart don't be behind a lot of things that they do. And I just want to let everybody know, this is not the only field that she's going to be developing you in. These are just the fields that they were developed in. So like she said, like Miss Jacque said earlier, she's going to get to know you and ask you, what is it that you want to do? What do you like doing? What you don't like doing? And so Miss Jacque, I know you said that you offer a SMART goals template.
I do. And if you want, I can send it to you, but it will also put it on my website for them to download.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will definitely put a link to the website in the description below. If you're on YouTube, this was definitely an insightful and fruitful conversation with all of the panelists here today. So I thank you, Jacque. I thank you, Maya. And I thank you, Deborah, for being on the show today. Do you guys, anybody have any closing words or any words of encouragement that they want to say to?
I just want to encourage everybody that you are more than what you limit yourself to. And we can do so much more than what we tell ourselves that we can. And I always tell everybody, before you come try me, always look up what it is a life coach does. Look up what professional development is. And understand what those things mean to you before you do it. I just wish I knew now back then, because I definitely would be a quadrillionaire. I know that's not even a word. I made that up. But I would be that at this point. but knowledge is power, and education is there's no dollar amount you can put on that. And one thing I always tell people, my mama always told me, she said, the world can take everything from you, but they can't take what's inside your brain. So I always live by that. Empower yourself through knowledge, connections, and you will hear me. Anybody you talk to me, is all about connections. I'm so blessed and grateful for the connections, and I pray that they just grow even more so. But I'm so grateful for the connection that if we I started my groundwork at 18. And I have so many connections, not just here in Vegas. I've been somewhere everywhere. I got connections in California. I have connections in Arizona. I have connections in a whole bunch of places, Iowa. So I'm just grateful that people seen in me what I didn't see in myself then, that they were developing to who I am now, right? And that's the professional side. So as people, we always got room for improvement. But professionalism, I just feel like it's just through the roof where you can go. So just remember, it starts in the mindset. And even if you just need some help achieving one goal or 10 goals, that's what our goal is. That's what we set out for. And thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for being here again, Ms. Jacque. Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Deborah, for joining. I really appreciate you guys. You guys go check out the testimonials from Deborah, Maya, and there's a lot more, you guys. It's not just them two. Like she said, she has a lot of stuff that she offers. So there's a lot of stuff under her belt, and she's a jack of all trades, for sure. So anything that you're trying to develop in, and she got the connections. I heard a wise person once say, it's not always what you know, but who you know. So it's a true statement. I want to thank you guys all for being on today's show, on today's segment of skill development. And again, if you guys have any questions, if you need any more information on it, again, reach out to her at MedXpressionz. Is that correct, Ms. Jacque?
It is. The LLC is at the end, so it's MedXpressionzLLC.com.
Thank you. So, and you can also reach her at her email, medexpressionz@gmail.com.
Correct. That's it.
Yes. And her phone number, all her information is on the website. So y'all get to know her, reach out to her, and don't forget to download those templates. Thank you guys for being on today's show. Again, I am your host, TL. And this is the Lapse of Time show, and I hope you guys all have a great day. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. All right. Bye.